There is a specific kind of exhaustion that no one really names. Not the kind that comes from working too hard. Not the kind that sleep can fix. It is the exhaustion of a mind that has been on guard for so long, scanning, preparing, bracing, that it no longer knows how to be still, even when nothing is wrong, even when the house is quiet, even when, by all accounts, you should feel fine. You sit down, you breathe, and instead of peace, you feel restless, uncomfortable, like stillness itself has become a foreign country, one you used to live in but can no longer find. Maybe you've even tried meditating. You've tried breathing exercises. You've tried being present. And for a moment, maybe, something softens. But then the noise comes back. And you wonder if calm is something some people simply have and others simply don't. This video is for that. And it begins with something a monk said, not to his students, not in a temple, but to a man who came to him in the middle of a storm. In the next 20 minutes, I'm going to walk you through 5 things that Buddhist philosophy has understood for centuries about finding stillness inside a world that will not stop moving. These are not techniques you do for 10 minutes a day and then forget. They are ways of seeing, and once you see differently, you cannot unsee. Let's begin with a story. There was once a man, a merchant, a father, someone very much like you, who had built his life carefully, brick by brick, decision by decision. And then, in the span of a single year, everything shifted. His business faltered, his marriage grew distant, his sleep disappeared, and no matter what he did, the feeling of chaos followed him everywhere, into meetings, into conversations, into the quiet moments he tried to steal for himself. He had heard of a monk who lived 3 days' walk from the city, so he went. When he arrived, exhausted, soaked from the road, he sat across from the old monk and said, "I cannot find peace. The world will not stop. How do you stay calm when everything around you is in chaos?" The monk did not answer immediately. Instead, he reached beside him, picked up a clay jar, and filled it with water from a nearby stream. The water was murky, full of silt, disturbed from the current. He set the jar between them and said nothing. The merchant watched, impatient, but the monk simply waited. And slowly, very slowly, the silt began to sink. The water began to clear, until, after several minutes, it was perfectly still, perfectly transparent. "Did you do anything to the water?" the monk asked. "No," said the merchant. "Exactly," said the monk. "The water knew how to become clear. You only needed to stop disturbing it." He continued, "Your mind is this water. It is not broken. It is not weak. It has simply forgotten what it feels like to be still, because something has been constantly stirring it. The practice is not to force calm. The practice is to stop adding more mud." This is 2,500 years old, this understanding, and it contains, at its heart, all 5 things I'm about to share with you. The first secret is the one most people never discover, because it requires slowing down just enough to notice something very small. Between everything that happens to you and everything you do in response, there is a space. Someone says something that stings. Between that moment and your reaction, there is a fraction of a second that belongs entirely to you. Your phone rings with bad news. Between hearing it and the spiral that follows, there is a breath. Traffic, noise, an argument, a disappointment. Between all of it and your response to it, there is a space. Buddhist philosophy calls this the moment of sankhara, the gap where habit ends and choice begins. Most of us live our entire lives never entering that space. We react before we even know we're reacting. The stimulus arrives and the storm begins, as if there was no gap at all. But there is always a gap. The practice is simply this: find the gap. Not to control what you feel, you cannot, but to pause just for one breath before you decide what to do with what you feel. This is not suppression. This is not distance. This is the beginning of mastery. You'd be surprised how much changes when you find the space. The second secret is harder to understand, but once you feel it, you cannot forget it. Buddhist philosophy teaches that beneath all of it, beneath the anxiety, the noise, the spiral of thoughts, there is something in you that does not move. Monks call it the witness, the mountain inside. Think of it this way: a mountain does not stop the storm. The wind comes, the rain comes, snow buries the slopes, trees bend, and the mountain simply remains. It does not fight the weather. It does not perform calm. It simply is what it is, underneath everything that passes over it. You have this too. You've probably glimpsed it. In the moment just after something frightening, when a strange quiet descends. Or in the middle of a crisis, when you surprised yourself with how steady you became. Or in those rare mornings when you wake up and, for just a moment, you feel completely yourself. That is the mountain. The chaos of your life is not the mountain, it is the weather. The practice is to remember, especially in the middle of the storm, that the weather is not you. You are what is watching. The third secret is this: most of your suffering does not come from what is happening. It comes from wanting what is happening to be different. Let me say that again, because it is easy to hear and hard to really receive. The pain is not the event. The pain is the resistance to the event. Buddhist philosophy has a word for this: dukkha. The friction that comes from clinging to things that are always moving, always changing, always beyond our control. You've probably experienced this as the mental loop. The event is over, but you keep returning to it, replaying it, arguing with it, wishing it had gone differently. And each time you return, you recreate the suffering, fresh, as though it's happening again. The monk in our story did not tell the merchant to stop feeling. He did not say, "Stop being disturbed by chaos." He said, "Stop adding more mud." Acceptance is not surrender. It is not saying that what happened was fine. It is simply choosing, consciously, to stop arguing with reality. Because reality always wins. And the moment you stop fighting it, something remarkable happens. The water begins to clear. The fourth secret is the one that meditation teachers have been pointing to for centuries, and the one that modern life makes hardest. It is the practice of return, not arrival, not achievement. Return. You've probably heard, "Be present, live in the now." Maybe so many times it's lost its meaning. So let me say it differently. Your mind will wander. That is not a failure. That is what minds do. They travel into the past, into the future, into stories and fears and plans that do not exist right now. The practice is not to stop the wandering. The practice is to notice
and to return, gently, without judgment, like calling a child's name softly, not in anger. Come back, come back, come back. Every time you return, you build something, a kind of muscle that learns, slowly, over many small moments, that the present is safe, that you can be here without bracing. Monks do not meditate because they have achieved peace and want to maintain it. They meditate because they understand that return is the practice itself. You are always being asked to come back, and every time you do, no matter how many times you've wandered, it counts.
And the fifth secret, the one that will perhaps surprise you most, is this. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is nothing. Not laziness, not avoidance, something different. In Taoist and Buddhist philosophy, there is a concept called Wu Wei, often translated as non-action or effortless action. It is the art of not forcing, of moving with things rather than against them. Watch water. It does not muscle its way through rock. It flows around, beneath, between. It takes the path of least resistance, and over time, it carves canyons. Most of us, when faced with chaos, try to control it. We strategize, we plan, we push. We make ourselves busy, not because the busyness helps, but because stillness feels dangerous. But what if the answer to chaos was not more effort, but a different kind of attention? Not solving the storm, but sitting with it long enough that you stop being afraid of it. There will be problems in your life that you cannot think your way out of. There will be chaos you cannot organize into submission. There will be nights that require nothing from you except presence. The monk does not ask the storm to stop. He simply remains, steady, clear, unmoved, until it does. 5 secrets. The space, the mountain, the river, the return, the art of doing nothing. You might be wondering, where do I actually begin? Begin here. Not with a program, not with a full transformation. With one moment, today, when the noise rises, and instead of reacting immediately, you take one conscious breath. That breath is the space. And inside that space, even for half a second, you remember, I am not the storm. I am what is watching the storm. That is the mountain. You don't have to fix the chaos. You don't have to heal everything at once. You don't have to become a different person. You only have to find the space, once, and then again, and then again. The water knows how to become clear. You only need to stop adding more mud. Calm is not the absence of chaos. It is the presence of something in you that chaos cannot reach, and that something has always been there. If this opened something in you, subscribe, because next week I want to talk about something that seems simple, but most people get completely wrong: the difference between letting go and giving up. Buddhist philosophy draws a line between them that might change everything about how you're holding what you're holding. Drop a comment below. Which of the 5 secrets landed hardest for you today? I'll be reading every one.